Now, like you were saying that men who are attracted to trans women have especially at that time, it was something that was kept very much in the closet, and it's changed a little bit, but it's still an issue today. Can you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I present a bit of the country bumpkin / airhead facade, but I actually am deeply interested in learning and knowledge, and there's a medical term called gynoandromorphophilia, which is describes men attracted to trans women or trans attracted men, and it's being studied sociologically and psychologically right now, and not to over medicalize it and stuff, but there are so many layers and levels, and there is a lot of sacrifice for those men who take the real plunge like my boyfriend has, and become long-term dating partners who introduce you to their families, who take you out in public. And that's so sad that I'm like grateful to be taken out in public. And now I'm not that sad anymore, but when I was a 20-something-year-old trans woman in Nashville, if a guy was brave enough to take me out to a coffee shop and be seen with me, like, I was so grateful.
Right.
It's really sad.
There hasn't been that much progress made. It seems like we're seeing a bit on social media.
Yeah, and I do think shows like RuPaul's Drag Race and stuff, which has had some high-profile trans and non-binary cast members and stuff, it's opening those doors. It's continuing to open the door that I cracked initially, but I just hope it keeps up, because I'm lucky to have someone who really loves me in the long term, but there are new trans people, cropping up every day, and they need love too, so.
Yes. Well, make sure you're following our guest at Calpernia on all social media. Sweetie, she's had them from the beginning. And make sure you're following us at Hey Qween TV on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, JDate, Black People Meet, Christian Mingle, Erica, make up a website, go!
Stunning.org.
Oh, fantastic.
I already own that, sorry.
Now, Erica, we owe Calpernia more money. Oh, God.
Yeah.
All right, Calpernia, it's time to get into it.
Get into it. Get into it.
Now, Calpernia, like you said, you play up your showgirl, your Marilyn Monroe-esque, but we know you're a stunning intelligence as well. And, this is a moment in time where trans issues have really come to the forefront, especially Black trans lives has really come forward, because we know they're in the most dangerous position of anyone in our community. And I just wanted to talk to you about your thoughts on how this movement has come forward so much in the last year, where we are and where we need to go.
Well, Gwen Smith is a trans woman who started many, many years ago at kind of at the beginning of the internet, documenting the trans women who are murdered in the United States. And if you search her name, you can see how she has been documenting each name. A trans woman is killed once or twice a month, every month, and we are such a minuscule, tiny community. It's like if you imagine you lived in a very small town and one resident or two residents were murdered brutally every month. And trans women of color especially face a highly disproportionate amount of violence and murder. So I've worked with as many organizations as I can over the years. Andrea, James, and I did the first all-trans women production of the Vagina Monologues with Eve Ensler and Jane Fonda, and we benefited LaCaw and GLAAD, I believe, and some other organizations to fight violence against women and girls, which includes trans women. And we've done whatever we can over the years whenever there's an opportunity to try to raise awareness and money to ameliorate that.
Yeah. I mean, you've lived through, violence that happened in your own life, as is famous, but maybe this current audience doesn't know, your story was the basis for the movie Soldier's Girl, which starred Jane Fonda's son, which was about your former boyfriend, Barry Winchell. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, well, when at the height of my kind of showgirl career in 1999 in Nashville, Tennessee, I was one of 5 showgirls on cast at a 40,000 square foot gay owned and operated show bar that got up to 2,000 people on a Saturday night, which was incredible for Nashville. And we did like 2 shows a night, 5 nights a week. And Army boys would come from Fort Campbell, Kentucky. I met an Army boy there named Barry Winchell, and we started dating. And shortly into our relationship, on the 4th of July in 1999, he was beaten to death in his sleep by fellow soldiers because they considered him gay for dating a trans woman. And, you know, that was one of the most awful things that has ever happened in my life. But some people wanted to tell the story in the form of a movie, and we did that on Showtime, and with Troy Garrity, Jane Fonda's son, and Lee Pace, who's in like all the Marvel movies now and the Lord of the Rings movies, incredible actors. And they really told the story beautifully, and I feel like it honored Barry's memory, and it gave opportunity for his parents to do activism as well. Bill Clinton later was forced to apologize for Don't Ask, Don't Tell, which I feel like allowed that climate of homophobia on the base and et cetera. It opened a lot of doors. And by the way, I did not take money for the movie either, and I don't ever want to make money from that tragedy. But Soldier's Girl is a beautiful film. If you can find it, I encourage you to watch it. I think it'll really touch your heart.
Yeah. Now, Calpernia, you've worked with a lot of different actors, helping them in a different time, and where
Right.
straight actors were portraying, or cis actors were portraying trans characters. Now we're seeing a move away from that, which I'm sure we both agree with. But at the time, you worked with Jared Leto when he won an Oscar. Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, before him, I worked with Felicity Huffman,
Right.
and then Jared Leto was going to do the movie Dallas Buyers Club, and he was playing a sort of what I think we would now call a gender nonconforming person, but it was a trans character named Rayon, living on the streets, pre-hormones, pre-plastic surgery, pre-anything. And I've known a lot of girls like Rayon, you know, who didn't have the money. They're just turning tricks, really, to get by, and they're addicted and HIV positive and not being treated for it, et cetera. So I was able to consult with Jared on it, and he really did go all in to discover the character. I recorded the whole script on audio for him, and he took me as his date to the premiere and told me, he was like, Callie, I've listened to your voice for hundreds of hours reading the script. And he thanked me in his Oscars acceptance speech, and it meant a lot to me, because we are in a different time now. And I've always felt that trans actors should play trans roles, but at that time we weren't there yet, so I did the work I could to make it the best portrayal possible.
Right. And you worked with Felicity Huffman, like you mentioned, when she did Transamerica, right?
Yeah, if you look at my IMDb page, the word trans is on every thing I've done.
You've been fighting the good fight for a long time, sweetie. You've been making sure cis people don't fuck it up for years.
Yeah. Well, both those movies, they were going to be made no matter what. They had already been cast, budgeted, set up. So at least I could step in and make it a more authentic portrayal. And Felicity was great. She remained a friend. She went out to lunch with me just last year and has had me over to her house. A real good salt-of-the-earth person.
Yes. Now, Calpernia, you've had a lot of loss in this last year, not only through the pandemic, but you've lost your sister, your brother, and your dad in the last 3 years. But you've managed to still keep a positive attitude and keep moving. And I think in a time like this, Obviously, I can understand. We both had a huge loss with Lady Red.
Oh my God, yeah.
And so many people have lost people in this time. And just with the way society is, it's so easy to just want to curl up and hide. You've dealt with it and sort of taken it head on. What can you talk about sort of keeping positive through these personal tragedies?
Well, I've found that the number one thing that has helped me through this is
That is amazing.
Yes.
the number. The number one thing, really, it is having good people around me. You know, my micro bubble is my best friends: Alec Mappa, Jamie Abear, Zion, their son, my boyfriend and also Andrea James. And I got to give a plug for the LA Gay and Lesbian Center. I'm low income. I'm a showgirl. I'm a vaudeville performer. I don't make a lot of money. And I qualify to get treatment, medical and psychiatric, emotional counseling, everything at the LA LGBT Center. And I did have to make the effort to, sign up to be eligible for those benefits. And I encourage anyone to look up how to do that in your state and city. And now I go to the center, I get emotional counseling, I get medication for depression, and I'm out about I'm clinically depressed, and I have a lot of anxiety and stress. And they have helped me put together a care plan of counseling, of medication, because in the last 3 years, I did lose my sister, my brother, and just 3 weeks ago, my father. And it's just me and my mom left now. And that's really, it gives you perspective. It makes you grow up in ways that you didn't even know were left to grow up in. But I'm doing okay. I have my support network. I'm getting treatment, and I encourage anybody, even if you're broke or if you're not, sign up for the programs, go somewhere, ask for it, and get help.
Agreed. I mean, after the loss of Lady Red, obviously I called in my emotional support family here, and I also started therapy because there's a lot of shit to go through, and it's hard to do it alone. And I was the type of person who could always be, I can handle it, I can move it, keep it going. And there's a point in which you just need to at least be able to sit down and talk to somebody and let it out.
Yeah, and I know you've always, Lady Red seemed so perfect for you. She and you were such a match made in heaven. I was so happy that you all got to be friends.
Yeah, we did have beautiful time together, and they're luckily on camera, so there's just years worth of Lady Red to always look back on and love. And I know you loved her. You were there with me at her memorial service, and it just meant a lot to have you there.
Well, I had my own show in LA, a weekly show for 7 years at Hamburger Mary's in West Hollywood. And I brought Lady Red in to be my co-host. And she was so great that I had to have her every week because she could always pick up the slack. She could always talk on the microphone. She could sing. She could get the crowd going. She could do everything. And she made that show so much better. I got to work with her all those years, and I loved her to death.
Yes, she loved you too, honey. Oh, Calpernia, I love you. I was so grateful that you were our first guest, and I'm so grateful you're our guest again. You're always keeping it going, reinventing, doing amazing things. And honey, you always still look good. And I'm looking closely. Look at that. Look at all of that. Calpernia, honey, you've turned it so fiercely that you have snatched the trophy again, honey. Yay. Oh, yes. It's a lot bigger than the one you got the first time, Calpernia. Oh, it's a perfect fascinator, a lovely hat. Now, Calpernia is not going to go anywhere, honey. She's known famous people for years and years and years. So she is going to be playing Look at Her. So you don't want to tune into that. Thank you to my emotional support orchestra, Erickatoure, Avian, and Adam Joseph. You can check them out on their podcast, Turning Purple, and on mine, Gayest of All Time. And we'll see you next time on Hey Qween. Bye, baby. Me and Calpernia. We back again. We back again.